Hey there everybody, welcome to another character study with your buddy, Steve. Hello everyone, and welcome to another character study. Today we're going to be talking about different forms of negative influences. While negative influences can sometimes be generalized as a bad person who influences others to do bad things, they can actually take many different shapes and forms. For today's examples, we're going to talk about Tony Moore from the Other Wes Moore and Lady Macbeth from Macbeth. Let's start with Tony. Tony is the older brother of Wes Moore. He worked many years in the drug industry, an experience that left him hardened and somewhat bitter. As Wes's older brother, Tony had a major impact on the way Wes acted and made decisions. Unfortunately, these effects weren't positive. One piece of advice Tony gives Wes resonates for him throughout his entire life. If someone disrespects you, you send a message so fierce that they won't have the chance to do it again. Wes takes this advice to heart for situations he faces in his life, such as when he tries to stab a neighborhood kid for getting in a fight with him. In this specific instance, it's said that his vision tunneled. Nothing else was on Wes's mind or in his sights. Wes becomes so convinced by his older brother's authority that he doesn't stop to question if the advice is dangerous. Another more indirect effect Tony had on his brother was his job in the drug industry. Despite constantly being told by Tony that he should stay away from drugs, Wes eventually ended up selling drugs in secret, likely due to Wes having a psychological want to be like his older brother. Selling drugs also influenced a lot of Wes's later poor decisions, such as when he is desperate to get a drug sale from an undercover police, despite having his suspicions about the man. While Tony is a negative influence on Wes, he never intentionally means for it to be this way. It's made clear throughout the book that Tony truly cares for Wes and how his life turns out. Wes remembers that Tony had to try to keep Wes in school and away from drugs for as long as he could remember. Additionally, despite Tony's send a message advice getting Wes in trouble, it was told to him in the context of Tony wanting Wes to be able to defend himself. This is all in stark contrast to Lady Macbeth, who, unlike Tony, has no care for the well-being of Macbeth. Lady Macbeth uses Macbeth's love for her to manipulate him into doing things he doesn't want to do, such as when he convinces Macbeth to kill King Duncan. She also tries hurting Macbeth's pride to convince him of her ways, a feat she accomplishes when she asks, "Are you a man?" Lady Macbeth's negative influence on Macbeth is intentional. She manipulates him into doing her bidding and messes with his emotions for her own benefit. Her influence is entirely purposeful, and she doesn't mind destroying Macbeth's mind in order to achieve her own desires. Tony and Lady Macbeth are similar yet different at the same time. Both have a negative impact on their respective family members, but each with different intentions and impacts. Tony's negative influence was completely unintentional. He only wanted the best for his brother and didn't want him ending up where he was in life. Lady Macbeth, on the other hand, had every intention in warping Macbeth to her desires. Unlike Tony, Lady Macbeth cared little about Macbeth and only wanted to use him for personal gain. Important to note the many different forms negative influences can take. They aren't necessarily just a stranger telling another stranger to do something they shouldn't. They can be personal family and friends. They may appear nice on the outside, but can still influence others in a way that may or may not have malicious intent. This can be seen outside of social interactions too. Cartoonish animations and animatics like this can be this way too. While they may appear colorful and happy on the outside, some can contain darker meanings and sinister intentions. Negative influences don't all take one specific form. They come in many varieties and identities. The more this is known, the easier it can be to identify them, whether they mean the negativity or not. Well, that's all for this episode. Tune in next week for absolutely nothing, as we've already been canceled 2 episodes in.